Question for you. Do you happen to cook with tofu on a regular basis? Or if not, maybe do you think that you might start to cook with tofu on a regular basis? Well, if you answered yes to either of those questions, you may want to stay tuned for this product review on this Tofu Ninja Tofu Press. Konnichiwa, Pat Tokuyama here, creator of the Japanese Cooking Club, where I help people learn how to make plant-based Japanese food. Today we're going to be doing a short product review on this Tofu Ninja Tofu Press. If you have not heard about removing excess water from your tofu, I actually shared a video a while ago showing you 5 different ways to remove excess water from your tofu and a few reasons for why you may want to do that. So if you haven't seen it, make sure to check out the description below or check it out again for a refresher. So just as a recap, a couple reasons for why you might want to remove water from your tofu blocks is 1, it's going to help to improve the texture. It's going to make it a little bit more firm. And then 2 is that it's going to help to improve the flavor, especially when you're going to be using it with some sort of a seasoning or a sauce, putting it into soup, for example. All that water won't come out of the tofu and dilute your seasoning. The flavor will be much better in your tofu dishes when used that way. So in terms of the tofu press, it's a very specialized device. This is the Tofu Ninja Press. This thing is made of stainless steel, so it's very heavy. The entire thing actually is all stainless steel, and I actually have some in here. This thing probably weighs, I think about, I don't know, 7 or 8 pounds? 4.5 pounds. So this thing weighs about 4.5 pounds, and you can see it's a solid piece of steel. My other tofu press is made of plastic, so this one's definitely better built, and it's probably going to last a lot longer. I don't think this would ever break. So I have a firm piece of tofu in here, and just to show you what it looks like, this is what it looks like after it's been smushed, and this is all the excess water that came out. So I'm going to be showing you how much water came out. It's only been about 30 minutes. I think this is about maybe 3 tablespoons-ish. Actually, it's about a 1/4 cup. So that's about a 1/4 cup of excess water that would have otherwise ended up in your final dish. So if you want to dilute your seasoning with a 1/4 cup of water, by all means, go ahead. But if you don't, maybe using a tofu press like this one will help you to not do that. So the reasons why you might want to get a tofu press if you have never considered one before, one is just convenience. Obviously you can do the old-fashioned method where you just stack another plate on top of this and put another weight on top of that, but then that's going to make a mess, or it's a little bit more fussy than just using a tofu press like this one. And then this one's actually very nice because it has a open bottom, so you can see there's a metal plate here where the tofu sits, and then the excess water just drains out the sides. So my other plastic tofu press actually doesn't have those drainage holes, so the water pools on top, and I don't think it's as, I guess, efficient or user-friendly as this one. So that's another thing that you might want to consider if you're looking at getting a tofu press. So really, all that you got to do if you've never used one of these before is take out your tofu from the package and put it in here, and then put the top on, and it'll press. And try to keep it on an even surface, and also try to make sure that your tofu block is level. Sometimes the tofu pieces are cut irregularly, and so you might notice that it's slanted. So just make sure to try to keep it as flat as possible. That way the water will be pressed out evenly. Okay, so now let's talk about pros and cons. So one, I would say, is the stainless steel, that it's made of stainless steel. Like I mentioned before, it's very heavy and it feels very durable. All of it is solidly built. I like the feel of it. And that's the first thing. The second thing is because it's made of stainless steel, you can also throw this in the dishwasher, and it's very easy to clean. If you have these water marks which happen with stainless steel, you can always get them off with some barkeeper's friend, which is a good way to clean your stainless steel cooking utensils as well as your pans and pots. So number 3, it's also very easy to use. As you can see, there's only 3 parts. All you got to do is throw on your tofu there and put a plate underneath to collect the excess water, and it'll be done in about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how much water you want to come out of your tofu. And I guess if you wanted to get creative, you could also use this to press out liquid from other things if you wanted to. You can use it to make cheese, and you can even use it to make tofu, very firm tofu, homemade tofu. So after you make it, if you've ever made homemade tofu before, you know that one of the things that you have to do is pour it into a little cloth to strain out the excess water, and then you put something on top to press it. So this would make a pretty firm block of tofu, but it could be used in that fashion as well. So some of the cons of this Ninja Tofu Press is one, that it's somewhat heavy. So like I mentioned, this is about 4.5 pounds, and it's not as easy as a piece of plastic or the other plastic tofu press to carry around. And if you drop it on your foot, it would probably hurt. And so that's another thing that you might want to be careful about, especially if you have dishware in your sink. You don't want to drop this because it would certainly break any dish, especially if it fell on that dish. So the second con about the Tofu Ninja Press is that it doesn't really give you too much flexibility in terms of the rate or the force that you're going to be pushing down on the tofu with, which can be good or bad. But the other tofu press, the Tofu Express press, does give you a couple options in terms of the spring that you can use. They give you a lighter spring for soft tofu, so it doesn't press as hard as the spring that's used for firm tofu. So this is just one weight for all blocks of tofu, and I haven't really had too many issues with soft tofu. You just got to be very gentle when you're putting the soft tofu in, and then set the weight on gently so that it doesn't break. I guess the third con could be that the cost is a little bit higher than the other tofu presses, but I believe that you usually get what you pay for, and there's a reason why this one's a little bit more expensive because it's made of stainless steel and it's going to last quite a long time. So those are my pros and cons of the Ninja Tofu Press. Let me know if I missed any, if you had any of your own from using this yourself. Otherwise, some of my tips for using the Tofu Press, one is to make sure that you always place some sort of a shallow bowl or container or a dish like this one to collect the excess water so it doesn't go all over your counter. Another tip that I would have is to be very gentle when you're putting, or careful when you're putting the tofu press into, or the tofu into the tofu press, because it's made of stainless steel. These edges are somewhat sharp and they won't move. So I've broken off a little piece of tofu every now and then if I'm not careful. So you want to make sure to try to avoid the edges where possible, otherwise your tofu might break off slightly. And then a third thing that I'd like to mention to you is that if you had 2 firm blocks of tofu, for example, you could probably stack 2 of them on top of each other and press it so that they be at this height, and that way you can press 2 blocks at the same time, being twice as efficient, especially if you're cooking a lot of tofu like I do. So those are my 3 tips for using the tofu press. Let me know if you have any others of your own that you have learned when you're pressing your tofu. And that's going to be it for today's video. If you want to see other tofu dishes, other Japanese tofu dishes, make sure to check out the playlist that I linked below for other tofu video lessons. And that's going to be it for today. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Kyotsuke ne. Take care. Bye bye. Oh yeah, so question of the day, do you think you are going to be getting this Tofu Ninja Press? If so, let me know in the comments below, and if not, let me know why. I'd be curious. So maybe you have a tofu press that you're using already, maybe you don't want a tofu press, or maybe you found a different one. So let me know in the comments right now.